For full episodes as they air, listen to Rants Hollywood Talk on Stitcher, Apple Podcasts, and blogtalkradio.com/GrantsRants.
Broadcasting from Hollywood, California, it's Grant's Rants Hollywood Talk.
Leah Remini's Scientology show gets a third season, the same week the Scientology TV Network drops. Jerry O'Connell kills it as Wendy Williams' replacement. Lisa Vanderpump continues to annoy me, and find out which old TV shows are annoying us. That and more rants with Lacretia Lyon. Let the ranting begin. I am joined by Lacretia Lyon, comedian and host. Welcome to the Rants.
Oh, well, thank you for having me. I love ranting.
Oh, good. Well, you're in the right place. Lacretia and I know each other from AfterBuzz TV. We've talked plenty behind the scenes. I don't think we've ever done a show together except Young and the Restless, 1 week.
Yeah, 1 week you came into The Young and the Restless, which I no longer do, and actually haven't really been keeping up with that much anymore. But yeah, that's funny. We're always running into each other, but never really do much together. Yeah.
Right. And we've just stayed in touch, and, you know, it's great. I mean, I've had a lot of AfterBuzzes on this show, but it's changed since I've left, so it's been nice. It's kind of nice to go back. I know, like, when I have an AfterBuzz host on this show, I know it's going to be good. There's not going to be any dead air. Like, there'll never be dead air, but you know what I mean? But, like, it's just, like, a good seasoned host across from me, so I'm happy to have you here.
Oh, well, thank you so much for having me. Yeah.
So, like everyone listening and myself, Lacretia loves herself some pop culture and TV.
Oh, yeah.
And it's a very busy time right now with a lot of stuff happening, which I'm enjoying, at least in my world. A&E Network, they've really embraced their non-fiction, unscripted documentary programming initiative, which I'm all about. You know, I'm a huge advocate for unscripted, especially on this show, and it's good to see a top cable network really embrace that. I know we saw a lot of cable going back and just scripted, which is great, but not everyone needs to be in the scripted game.
Yeah, and that's basically what A&E has always been good at. I mean, they had reality shows and murder porn before it was really big, a lot of times. And theirs are a little bit different and more serious. Like as we say, you know, Leah Remini's Scientology one's pretty serious subject matter, but it's good.
Oh, Leah Remini, that Scientology in the Aftermath show, that was one of my all-time favorites. I really have to say, like, there's actually, I'm not even going to lie. I've seen every episode except there's one left, and I'm keeping it. I'm just keeping it because I'm captivated by it. I've seen every YouTube ID investigate, like everything, but there's one left. I think it's like her and Mike Rinder take questions from viewers. It's just like, I need to like have that for my fix just in case. So I'm happy with that. And A&E, they have that show Undercover High. I did a little bonus episode on this podcast with one of the undercover students who's an adult who took on a position to learn more about it. And I'm finding myself really into these shows on A&E. I never could really handle intervention. Yeah, Hoarders. I mean, I got into that for like 5 minutes. I don't hate it, but it's just like not my jam. And that Storage Wars to me is the fakest show. I can't with that.
Oh, it is, because I remember in Texas, like them trying to audition me to be on Storage Wars as like a customer, I guess you would say. It's like, it's all fake.
Yeah, that I don't care for. And then there's that Wahlburgers. I can't stand any of them, so that needs to go. That's like X number one, please.
And I tried to eat there when I was in Boston. I was too busy. We were like, well, fine.
Yeah, no big loss.
We'll just go to the brewery across the street, whatever.
Yeah, no big loss, believe me. They opened one in the middle of Sunset, and I'm really pissed about it. It was this really nice place, and now it's Wahlburgers.
I didn't realize they had one here. I knew they opened one in Vegas.
Of course. Yeah. That's where it belongs.
Yeah.
Stick it in some, like, you know, discount hotel, mid-strip, and forget it. That's where it belongs.
I believe it is. Like, I think, what is it, in New York, maybe?
Oh, probably. Yeah. Well, that's about right. I can say that because I stayed there recently and was unimpressed.
Yeah.
So
I'm not a big Vegas person, except for the food, but I'm like, you know, more like Giada's place or...
Oh, nice. Yeah,
that's good.
So looking at A&E, they've fallen out of their top cable network category, but now they're back. The last scripted show they did was Bates Motel. I was looking up, like, well, what did they have? Bates Motel had a lot of good press.
It was a good show.
I guess it just didn't click for them. But they credit their recent success to live PD, which I don't have any interest in watching. Do you watch anything like that, like Cops?
No, I honestly really only watch mostly scripted television, I will say.
Yeah. It's Scientology in the Aftermath, 60 Days In. So those are the big shows that they're having that have really worked. So glad the Scientology show got picked up. I'm so happy to report that it got picked up for a third season. I didn't think it would. There were a lot of conversations online, like they want to do it, but they want to cover other cults and other religions. And I was like, I know, but I don't care about other cults.
Yeah, Scientology is the sexy one because it's Hollywood.
And it's a mess. Like, it's just a total mess. And it's like, for me, it's down the street. Like, it's like, I live off of Sunset Boulevard here. I don't live near the Scientology building. Relax, Scientology. But, Sunset Boulevard is a long road, but it's somewhere down from where I am is the building, the big blue building. And, when you see them, I have to laugh. You see them walking around Hollywood Boulevard, and they're always in those vests. They always look stressed out of their mind. But yet, the way they get people to come in is to take a stress test. Because, we can improve your life. Well, none of you look like you're chilling.
Yeah, I mean, they have to wear those little outfits and pass out flyers for next to nothing. Because, as I say, they've been trying to recruit me for years. Like, I get tons of calls.
Recruit you.
Well, yeah, it's so funny. Like, I get tons of phone calls and stuff. Because you know what? I even went in there just to see. I was like,
Wow.
I just at least want to check it out. Just for the gossip. But yeah,
Right.
so ever since I went in there for one of their like acting seminars or whatever.
That's what they do.
Yeah, they just keep calling you because they had a big celebration last night, which I don't know why. I mean, I guess because they don't really drink or do drugs or anything, but is their thing. So they thought St. Patrick's Day would be a good day to recruit people and have this big birthday celebration for L. Ron. They kept calling me about it, and I'm like, I saw them setting up. I'm like, I don't think it did very well.
Oh, so it's L. Ron Hubbard's birthday.
Yeah,
I think that's a religious holiday for them for sure. Let me say, yes, we're talking about Scientology. Scientology works for some people, but this show is about commentary, and they launched a new network this week. I'm captivated by it, and we're talking about it. It's out there. It's on Deadline. It's on Hollywood Reporter. It's all over. They have a live stream on YouTube. So like anything else, we're talking about it. So relax. That's my advice to anyone who's pissed that we're talking about it, or if they're listening. And yeah, you're part of the conversation. So I've been very busy this week. It's been social stuff, but also I've been watching the Scientology Network.
You have been? I didn't even realize it was up yet. I'm like, wow.
I've been watching the live stream on YouTube.
Oh, yeah.
I don't have DirecTV. And let me just say this, I don't support DirecTV for picking them up. There's a lot of allegations out there. It's not a good looking situation. There are people that have been reported missing. There have been suicides connected. It's a bad look. I don't know why they would want to do this, but
yeah, that's the thing. When I was in college, I did a research paper on the psychology of it and some of more of the deep, dark stuff with L. Ron and how he actually died was taking psychiatric drugs that, he has been against, and they constantly talk about. So that's really interesting to me to see DirecTV support something that does not have a good reputation. And certainly at a time like now where this is make it or break it for these cable and satellite providers. And so you're going to make a choice like this. I mean, I'm guessing they paid them a ton of money.
Yeah.
But it's like you're going to lose subscribers.
Scientology, apparently, this is, I don't know, some person wrote this in an article, but they said they imagine that it would be they're paying DirecTV about $4 million a year for the space. Oh, I don't know how accurate that is, but there are no commercials. It's one big glossy infomercial for the religion, smiling faces, the whole deal. Now, Tony Ortega, a person who speaks out about the religion quite a bit. I believe he's an ex-parishioner, or he's a reporter, one of the two. He's either someone who's just been very critical of the church. Forgive me, I can't remember off the top of my head, but he did say that he believes that they're doing this network not to bring in people, but it's more for the people who are already Scientologists to show, look, we have a space in the world. It's not so much a recruitment tool. However, the shows that they have are a little recruity. I wrote some of them down. They've got different shows called Inside Scientology, shows like how it's all basically shows the making of a business is what it is. Meet a Scientologist, where they have people of just different backgrounds, and they do different things like make guitars or whatever. And then at the end they say, and I'm a Scientologist and I'm just like you. And then this destination Scientology, and where no one really wants to go. Well, these are the names of the shows, so everyone can relax. Voices for Humanity, and then L. Ron Hubbard in his own words. So these are some of the shows. So a great article came out on the Hollywood Reporter. In the Hollywood Reporter, I should say. And this man is not on Twitter, but I'll read his name in a moment. But he wrote an article, and I just tweeted about it. I hope he was on there. I wanted to compliment him on it because it was examining the network, but it was also really like biting, like everything. And there was like kind of a goof. It was well written. So here's his take, kind of the overview. Representing a much more efficient recruitment method than simply waiting for disaffected individuals to walk through the doors. Inside Scientology outline the church's programs, including seminars, courses, and workshops, which, since there are no mention of fees whatsoever, must obviously be offered to the public free of charge. Many of the centers apparently operate on health centers as well, offering treadmills and saunas for people to detox themselves from all those nasty drugs they've been taking. So it's all written in that voice and that tone, and I thought it was great because it really just kind of encapsulated what it's all about. The author of this article over at the Hollywood Reporter is Frank Scheck, and it's called Critic's Notebook. Scientology TV is the most elaborate and tedious infomercial ever. So I don't know. I've been enjoying it as just kind of just seeing what it's all about. I was so captivated that they were doing this because I had heard about this, and they said like Spectrum said that they denied the whole thing, so there was no such thing as a cable network, and then this just popped up randomly last Monday.
Huh, that's weird, but it's like maybe Spectrum was denying it because they maybe underbid.
Yeah.
So
when you get reached out to, by the way, is it just phone calls? Do you get a ton of mail? What is it like?
Oh, yeah. Like, it's funny. The Church of Scientology will find me easier than my damn WonderCon badge. And they'll send me all sorts of mail trying to, get me to go to this and that, or phone calls, or... Yeah, I mean, it's nice to be wanted, especially in LA, but it's like, it's like that geeky guy, it's like a Ducky, and Pretty in Pink. You don't wind up with Ducky, the one calling you all the time. Yeah. So if I want to join a cult, it's not that one. All right. They're too needy.
Yeah, I mean, again, they do things for people that people are happy with. It's a religion, good for them. But that's my take on the network.
And, I'm
not afraid to talk about it. It's out there. Yeah. They have a TV. We just talked about A&E. That's a television network. We're talking about Scientology Network. And now we're going to talk about my rant of the day.
Rant of the day.
My rant of the day is going to Lisa Vanderpump. Anyone who knows me for 5 minutes knows that I don't enjoy this woman. I'm not about it, but I'm really enjoying Vanderpump Rules. I don't know have you been looking at it, Lacretia?
No. I will say, like, the only time I get bits from Vanderpump Rules are on the Soup. I mean, the Joel McHale show with Joel McHale.
Joel McHale.
Yes.
I've been watching the Joel McHale show with Joel McHale.
It's so good. Yeah.
It is good. So Lisa Vanderpump is driving me up the wall because I can't get through these shows. Like Beverly Hills is a tough watch, but it's entertaining. I'm okay with it. And Vanderpump Rules I'm really enjoying. But then we've got to sit through all these scenes with her. I've talked about it on the show with the fake business. Not that her businesses are fake. What I mean by fake business is her sitting in a well-lit room, going through papers and like reading documents with like spectacles on when some drunk employee comes in and talks about, someone's night out before. Like, it's very planned out to me. And they had a birthday celebration for her on Beverly Hills where they all literally came to kiss the ring and present her with gifts. And it was just disgusting to me. Like, somebody tweeted me recently, like, Kyle bought a new house. Are you sure it's not up Lisa Vanderpump's ass? And it's funny because a lot of these people really do live for her. And I just don't get it. For me personally, I can see right through her. The storyline of her is right now, people are fighting about who's friends with her. It's too much. She doesn't deliver anything. She doesn't bring anything to either of those shows. Vanderpump Rules has nothing to do with her. And Beverly Hills, she doesn't want to be bothered. So guess what? Then move on. Leave.
Well, yeah. I mean, isn't the key to reality producing is making stuff look real? Like all these scenes that you're talking about, I'm like, nobody believes that, do they? Her sitting there with her glasses reading papers. It's like... Yeah, that's not how business gets done.
No. And then they had a fire at SUR, and so one of the employees helped, with the, I don't know if he put it out or if he called on it, who was somehow involved with, quote, saving the restaurant. So then on camera, she goes up to him with, cash and slips some money. I'm like, you know what? That's good, but that's something that you do off camera. You know what I mean? It's showy, it's flashy. It's I don't go on, if I donate for around the holidays, you donate to different groups and charities and giving times. I don't go on and check it on my Twitter and go, I just donated such and such amount of money to a rescue dog league. To me, I didn't like seeing that on camera. I thought it was really tacky.
Yeah, it's really gauche to brag about your charities and stuff like that, because it's just okay, then this is why you're doing it. You're not doing it to help people or dogs or whatever it is. You're doing it because you want the attention.
I think that's a part of it. Yeah. Of course, she has the platform. Why wouldn't she promote her charities? I get it. But, if that's the only reason why you're setting up for these shows, they got rid of Brandy. And because somebody, they asked her, they said, would you do it, would you only do it for the money? And she's like, that's the only reason why I do reality TV is just for the money. So what's the difference between Brandy saying that and then Lisa Vanderpump going on it in her contract only promoting her businesses? What's the difference?
That's the thing, is Brandy was at least honest.
Exactly.
Yeah, I'm I can get behind that better than anybody.
And, Lisa's the one that's holding Brandy back. And someone could argue maybe Brandy's holding Brandy back from not going on The Real Housewives again. She is definitely, now she's feuding with Camille and over on Twitter. She doesn't make it easy for herself. I get it. But as long as they keep putting Lisa Vanderpump in charge, literally in charge of that show, then, we're not going to get anyone in there that's ever going to challenge her. And so we're just going to keep sitting through, talk about infomercials, infomercials for her and all that she does for the LGBT community besides run businesses in West Hollywood. So, ugh.
Well, yeah.
I know she does other things, but the bottom line is she makes a lot of money on LGBT folk.
Yeah, and that's sort of the thing is when you get a basic bitch like that in there, they don't want more people that are interesting. The problem is that's what kills a show.
Exactly. Yeah. So I say it all the time. She takes the show hostage. I'm not here for it. So I just had to get that off my mind because anyone who follows me on Instagram, I've been doing a lot of Insta stories. It's I can't get through the show without bitching. So
that's my opinion.
Let's get into our next topic. Wendy Williams. There's been a lot of chatter about her health. She took, 3 weeks off from her show?
Yeah, so she had a thyroid condition, and it was required by her doctor to take rest. And they said she was going to have to take a 2-week mandatory vacation from the show. And I guess because they were still contractually obligated for this past week, Jerry O'Connell filled in for her.
Yeah.
And I'm it was so funny.
It must have been a contractual obligation.
Yeah.
I can't imagine. She always said she would never give up the show to another co-host.
Yeah, and that's what I liked is this was obviously just because, with her absence, it wasn't like anybody was replacing her. And that's what I liked, that Jerry, he tried to keep a lot of the Wendy-isms and, was constantly just talking about her. Because, that's got to be hard to sit there, when it's your show, the Wendy Williams show.
Yeah.
And,
I know. I was thinking the same thing, her on the other end at home watching and, it's Jerry O'Connell and Dorit, and they're on a couch chatting, and she's at home something's off there.
He didn't even sit in the purple chair. He had his own chair.
Jerry was respectful. Yeah. He had a great energy. He put his own twist on it, which, he went into the topics. I think he did maybe a couple less than she does normally, but that's because he was having fun with it. And I thought that he did really well. And it was nice. I've noticed that the show took more creative liberties with him. I feel like Wendy must hold them back a little bit as far as wanting to do different man on the street and green screen fun stuff, and I feel like she likes what she likes, so she's a creature of habit. But with him, I feel like everyone got to be a next step creative, whether that be wardrobe or segments or more fun on the set. I think it was just a lighter atmosphere.
Yeah, and I love Wendy, and she'll do man on the street a little bit, but maybe this will kind of open up to maybe start doing, because I love the sketches, the American Idol sketch was really funny.
That was funny.
The most interesting thing about this American Idol was that sketch.
That's so true. True.
And that's the thing is like, oh, I hope we can see more of that. And hopefully, everything is okay with Wendy. She'll be back on Monday of this week, which is good. But yeah, I know everyone kept tweeting and sending on Instagram to Jerry how he was being extra. It was like, he kind of was, but he's like extra adorable. I'm like, that's his personality. And I like that he just kept that. And I like the stuff when he would do the hot topics and talk about like, well, I live near the Kardashians, guys. They're going to come get me. And then all the Bayhive bits and everything. I'm like, yeah, I'm over Beyonce too. Now they're going to get me. But but yeah, I was like, that was cute.
Yeah, it was, he like literally wore like a bee like habit and like a whole deal.
And then the gloves.
I loved it. Everyone said like he claims that everyone said he was extra, but I watched Wendy Williams on YouTube exclusively, and I looked at the comments every time, and there were no negative ones that I saw.
That's good.
It was all positive. So like I hated that he kept playing up on the criticism that he was getting, because as far as what I was seeing, he was embraced. People said this man needs his own show. He's so respectful to Wendy. He's a good time. Like, I love him being so extra. So I think he was great. A great replacement for her for a while. I think it was interesting that she went with a man and not with a woman. I'm surprised that she didn't go with someone a little bit more diverse, given this whole atmosphere that we're currently in. But it's great. He did a fantastic job. No complaints. He was game. You could tell they had fun with him. So it was good.
Well, I honestly feel like being a straight white man was the funniest option they could have done here. I mean, and not, it's like, yes, we like to give diverse voices and people a chance. I mean, but here it's like when you're filling in for Wendy Williams, who's this gossip queen and, big female personality, you're like, who's the opposite of that? Yeah, a straight white guy. I mean, and he's a little goofy. She's a little bit more reserved and goofy. So that was sort of the thing. Is I'm like, I actually dug that they went that way because it made the most ridiculous sense. Yeah.
It was fun. I never had ever expected anyone to do that show differently. It's kind of like What Happens Live. Like, I know they had a replacement host a while back when Andy was away or whatever. This was like years ago, but certain shows you just can't imagine anybody else in the chair. And I just never thought that would be, Wendy, she's been doing it for almost 10 years. So to automatically have like 1 week, it's just odd, but it was good. It was well done. And yeah, I mean, he said that in a People magazine article that he doesn't anticipate wanting to do any more shows because people are like, how do you feel when people say you should have your own talk show? He's like, it's not the direction I'm going in. So I kind of respect him that he literally just did it for a week. And he's not trying to like get gains out of it or, get a new agent or trying to give himself his own. He's not using it as a platform for something else.
Yeah, it was really just for fun. Like, and that's what I liked is like, that's what it felt like. Because I agree. He should have his own show. But I think it's almost more special that he's like, no, I'm good. Like, he's an actor and he's a dad and, married to Rebecca Romaine. Dude's life's pretty awesome. He doesn't really need
I've always loved Rebecca Romaine. To me, she is gorgeous. She's like perfection. And I loved her in Ugly Betty when she played this transition son into a woman. Like she's great. Like I love her so much. And I don't really see her in too much anymore. So the two of them are great. She is the biggest Wendy fan with him. And so he said in the article, it's a People magazine article, that both his wife and his kids were so excited to see him on the show that they watch every day. So that must have been a nice experience. So we'll see at the time of taping this podcast. Wendy will be back tomorrow on the show. So I'm hoping that she really gives him the accolades that he deserves and really gives a good, give him a good 5 minutes of just recapping the week and like complimenting him because I think he did a good job and he deserves it. So I hope she really like gives a good credit to where it's due. Me too. And that's just who Wendy is. So I'd be surprised if she didn't more than anything because I remember, what did she say? Like when I think it was Peter Gallagher asked her about, the audience. She's like, I love them more than life itself. Like, Wendy's just kind of a genuinely nice person, even though she can clap back. Well, I mean, I've heard different things. Yeah. I haven't heard things of like the Ellen level. Like, Ellen dances because Ellen is a very dark person. Yeah, Ellen's not the best, but I know Wendy can be different. I mean, she can be very rude to her staff even on camera. I don't like how she like speaks to some of them, even like Suzanne and Norman. Like Norman told Jerry O'Connell to calm down. Could you imagine him telling Wendy Williams to calm down? Oh yeah, ain't never gonna happen. No, but Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I enjoy Wendy, and we'll see what happens coming up. When we return, we're going to talk about things that haven't even happened yet, but we're already annoyed. So get ready. That and more with Lacretia in a moment.
You're listening to Grant's Rants. Subscribe and spread the word. There are a lot more rants to come. Listen anytime on all major podcasting platforms. And now, back to the show.
And we're back talking with host and comedian Lacretia Lyon. Hello, welcome back.
Hello.
Are you enjoying this? I'm having a good time. I'm going off on all these topics.
Oh, yeah. And I think we're to the real part where I get to go off, and it will probably happen on Wednesday night as well.
The ranting. Here we go. Yeah, we're going to talk about it. Stuff that we're prematurely annoyed by. What's got you all riled up before it even happens?
Well, so I am a huge X-Files fan, but like a lot of other stuff that I've been big fans of, like Buffy and, Joss Whedon and stuff like that, I have a love-hate relationship with the creator, Chris Carter, and on AfterBuzz, when they did the last episodes of X-Files, the season 10 that was just a few years ago, I got drunk on the finale and said some things about Chris Carter because of the way he ended it, and I almost feel like we're just going to repeat that whole thing. But I will say on the bright side is that I feel like the Monster of the Week episodes with this season 11 are good enough, and if last week, if I want to pretend that's the end, I at least have it. But with this My Struggle Part 4, because they've done the mythology for the X-Files, Chris Carter's episodes, as My Struggles. In Season 10, they had 1 and 2, which pissed me off. And then now we had 3 that was terrible, like this season. And then you have 4, which will be sort of them wrapping up the entire series, probably. And honestly, hopefully, because if Gillian Anderson doesn't want to come back, neither do I. Mm-hmm. But yeah, so I just feel like he's going to crap on us again, and we won't get a resolution. We probably won't get a happy ending with Mulder and Scully and their son, William.
Yeah. You're trying to prevent disappointment from happening.
Oh, yeah. Well, because too, there's been some revelations this season, and I guess I'll just go ahead and spoil it because anybody who doesn't know was like, where have you been? But they floated with the idea in My Struggle Part 3, the premiere of this season, that the cigarette smoking man is in fact William's father, not Mulder. He science raped Scully, and there's actually a few articles on the internet of me being interviewed already about my outrage. So the only way Chris
science raped?
Yeah, he impregnated her with science. He's like, oh no, I didn't rape her, and it's like that. And even Chris Carter said that himself. Like, that's not rape. It's like, if he impregnated her without her knowledge, that is, buddy. It's even worse than the other, almost, because she had to live with that for 9 months. I mean, and,
See, this is why I watch Scientology TV.
Yeah, it's less crazy.
This is why I watch Scientology TV.
But,
yeah, that's too much for me. It's just not my jam, but, yeah. You're like a little on the edge about this finale. I get it. Yeah, you must genuinely love the show.
Oh, yeah, I grew up watching it.
You want it to be strong until the end. I get it. You know what show I really never loved, but it's why I'm annoyed? This Jersey Shore reunion, this promo is here. It is the same crap. You've got Snooki yelling at the camera in the confessional interview. Mike's talking, looks like he is, maybe for a scene about his pending time in prison, his little stint coming up. Then you've got the others doing the same stuff, GTL, all this stuff. Are people really that desperate just for something familiar at this point? Are people really that desperate for this show to come back?
Unfortunately, I mean, because I'm talking about a show that was on 10 years ago, and I'm watching the reboot, X-Files. So, I mean, but that was more of a continuation. Same thing with Twin Peaks, The Return, and some of these. But with these reality shows, it's like they just almost seem to be doing the exact same thing when they're bringing them back. And you're like,
that's what it looks like.
It, and I liked it. Yeah.
The trailer looks like the same. One scene, they're at a bar. The next, they're at a strip club. They're all talking about being parents or being older. That Sammy sweetheart girl who I never cared for is not even part of it. So, I mean, who the hell dropped the ball with that contract? I mean, you've got everybody there except one? Like, figure it out.
Yeah, I mean, maybe she was embarrassed because
Maybe.
yeah.
I mean, yeah, I could understand why. But yeah, this seriously looks like the exact same, and I guess that's what they're going for. Is they're trying to be like, look, we're still here and we're still having a good time, and it's the people you remember and love. But I mean, really, like, I'm so not interested in watching this at all. If you're interested, Jersey Shore Family Vacation comes to MTV April 5th. It's a Thursday night. Enjoy.
Yeah, same thing with the X-Files finale. It'll be at 8 p.m. On 7 Central, guys, and
what night?
Be prepared. Wednesday.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, yeah. So
Yeah, Wednesday night. Oh.
I watched this promo and I was like, ooh. Like the whole time I was like so uncomfortable. I was like, really? Like, I'm embarrassed. It was all secondhand embarrassment. So, not my thing. But anyway, let's talk about you. I want to get into more information. This is my favorite part of the show, is really just chatting and learning more about people. So we've got your point of view on pop culture, but I want to know more about your life. You've been out here how long in LA? Like 5 years?
Almost. It's been about 4.5, almost, yeah.
Yeah. And so what are some, like, just getting settled in LA, because from Texas, correct?
Yes.
So, like, getting settled in LA, different flavor for you. What's that like jobs, like just any odd moments?
Yeah, the funny thing is like I came to LA from Dallas, which is actually very similar to LA in a lot of ways. Like, so it wasn't like a culture shock at all, but it was funny because in Dallas I made money and did comedy by being like a liquor promo model. But the funny thing is out here in LA, their liquor laws are a lot stricter, so they don't have a lot of that work. So I was like, crap, well, what am I going to do? And, so I would do a lot of random freelance work, which is funny how I wound up at AfterBuzz 2 years later. Was one of my random first jobs in LA was getting paid to take a Pilates class taught by Maria Menounos on Hermosa Beach. It was some event she had done and put on, and they were looking almost like a seat filler position, but they're like, we need to have some more young women in this audience. Like, let me pay you to take Pilates on the beach. It's like, who wouldn't take that job?
Yeah. What was this for? Was this for her reality show on Oxygen?
I'm not sure if it was even filmed. It was for like Ocean Spray Cranberry sponsored this event, and Maria was like maybe hosting it.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
And she was teaching the class.
So LA. Yeah. And of course, like, having like the seat filler is like filling in like you were. That's funny. And so, and then did that translate to AfterBuzz, or was that completely like a different part of your life?
Separate. Yeah. Like, wow. And so that was what was funny years later. And I was like, oh yeah, I went to this thing with Maria Menounos, and had to be, in the audience or taking a Pilates class. And then I, found AfterBuzz through Marky Costello. Actually, I was in her classes for a long time for hosting, and she discovered me. Yeah,
Marky's a host professor. Like, you go to an improv class, you could take a hosting class, and she's popular around here for that. I've heard some crazy stories about that one.
Oh yeah,
that's all I'll say.
Marky is Marky, and like everyone laughed, and I was like, I don't know, I don't have a problem with her. She reminds me of my mom, and they're like, that explains a lot. Like, it's like
I've never met her. I don't know.
She's blunt, and some people don't like that. You know
what though? Maybe that's it, because people can't handle direct and blunt. So maybe that's what it's all about. You know what I mean? I have this conversation all the time. I had it last night. It's just like, you can't be too upfront with people. People get so, concerned and turned off. Maybe that's what it is with her, I don't know, but interesting. So through there, so she found you, and then from there you went to AfterBuzz.
Yeah, so she found me on Twitter of all things, like, and that's why I tell people, you really do need to have a good Twitter, because she was like, hey, I think you'd be a good host. And that's actually what I came here to do. But I didn't know, because I wanted to be Joel McHale. I wanted to do the soup. And I was doing stand-up and things like that. And then she's like, well, that's hosting. And you teach, she taught me a lot. And like one of the places that one of our other teachers, Leo Quinones, he would always talk about AfterBuzz. And, he's like, yeah, you don't get paid, but you get all this experience. So like... And like I remember even like the first time I went to like the AfterBuzz orientation, I didn't even get in. I wound up getting in through the General Hospital after show when James Lett Jr. was casting it. It was so odd. Yeah. Like it almost took like a year to get that, because I'd even pitched that back then. Like I was like, well, I watched the soaps. Y'all don't have the soaps. Like
that's what's interesting. People sleep on the soaps, especially in the digital world, because they view soaps as like an old time, like, you know, family tradition for the older people watching. They have no idea that the audience is so plugged in. Soap Twitter is a real thing.
Oh yeah,
and they're out there and they're talking about it, and they're hungry for content. It's an untapped market, and now, you know, AfterBuzz has them, and they grew to, I believe, are they still covering all 4?
I believe so. That they're still covering all 4. I know that I no longer do the soap shows there because it just takes up a lot of time. I mean, I still do watch, and soap Twitter has been crazy lately after the whole Jeannie Francis nonsense.
Yes,
but that's why a lot of us stepped back. It's like, I can't deal with that negativity right now. Like,
yeah, soaps. I mean, I love them, and I grew up watching them and all that. I'm a huge advocate for them, but it's hard out there to watch these soaps in this land of TV right now, where there's so much good stuff, and I see really bad decisions being made, both with casting and writing and even hiring behind the scenes people these days. It's just, I see a lot of laziness, and it's tough when you have 4 shows left. Like 5 years ago, there were 8. You know, it's tough. I mean, it's hard to be an advocate for the industry when they don't really want to make any changes, and they're very afraid of telling a too liberal of stories because you don't want to lose their audience in this Trump era, and it's reflecting on the shows, in my opinion.
Yeah, because they shied away from a big interracial couple potential because, you know, I guess they're afraid of the Trump's America, and it was like, seriously. And even on General Hospital, which can typically be a little bit more liberal, it was like, you know, they dropped the ball so many times. And two, these soaps don't always make a good decision when it comes to press and things like that. And I think that's a lot of the reason why some of us quit covering it too, because they don't get that, you know, you've got to get out there. You know, this is a dying breed, and these people want to check. It's not the actors. It's a lot of the behind the scenes stuff. And
yeah, I believe it. I mean, it's crazy. If you think of the stable of actors and performers that work on soaps, they have large casts, mainly under 40 people. And these are all people who are maybe not all of them, but the majority of them are willing to work and promote the show. And in a lot of these people's contracts, it says, you know, there's an agreement upon a certain amount of promotional work you do for the show, obviously. So, you know, use that.
Yeah, that's the thing, is they're not tapping into stuff that they already have. And it's kind of sad, because it's like, do you want everybody to lose their jobs? Yeah. I want these people to succeed. I really like them. Right. But I mean, sometimes being more successful means leaving the soap. And then like Michael B. Jordan or Finn Wittrock, I mean, they started on All My Children, and most people wouldn't realize that. You know, this is a breeding ground for good actors. You just got to let them do what they need to do.
Exactly. Yeah. I really miss, with regards to soaps in general, like having them in New York and having that Broadway influence of stage actors coming, you know, from a show, coming into a soap, doing an arc or playing a character for a few years and then moving on. Like that. It's such an untapped market, and there's so much talent, especially in the older actor category. If you think of people like Kim Zimmer and like the folks that are still on the East Coast, do their shows that canceled and they're still hanging out, but they have the ability and the skills on the following, and talk about untapped talent. So it's kind of a shame, but they have to find something that they can do. There was a lot of conversation about Netflix doing a daily soap. And now that's what they should be doing. You know, I think that'd be great. And soaps are, in comparison to what Netflix is producing, soaps are cheap enough to do. If Oprah can pull it off on OWN, you know, they can definitely do it on Netflix.
Well, yeah, and Netflix, you know, I realize they're still like in the red, but they're throwing out lots of money. I don't think they realize how profitable, you know, a soap would be. And I know that One Life to Live has been the one brought up, and that's my favorite of all time.
Yeah.
Like, but I wouldn't want to lose Roger or Michael on General Hospital either. So I'm like, you all have to work it out where they do both. Like, I love Roger Howarth and Michael Easton. And
yeah, I think with Netflix being international and their shows, you know, obviously we're on licensing deals, but their original content is international, and the international audience loves soaps. They're in every country and continent, so get on that, figure that out, and you can build a dream cast of different people from around the world to have a following, come in and do an original soap. Just try it.
Well, and two, it's like Netflix. I don't know the numbers on the Joel McHale show yet, and two, with Netflix numbers, they're kind of like look at like whole seasons and things like that.
Yeah, I don't really believe in a lot of the numbers coming out of Netflix because they're not endorsed by Netflix themselves. So it's just kind of for your own interpretation, I guess.
Yeah, and that's the thing is like, well, how would that apply to a soap? And are we, they're obviously open to start doing more like shows that are weekly or, daily or something like that. So who knows? Maybe that's the door to open.
Yeah, I think it's worth a shot. They've tried everything else in subgenres, and they've had a lot of success. So soaps are not that expensive.
Yeah.
I mean, compared to, like Jessica Jones and like all this other shit, you know what I mean? Like compared to what they've been doing. So obviously outside of soaps, you have other interests, hockey, horror. Yeah. Tell me about the Red Room.
Oh, yeah. So the Red Room is my horror show that I do with my former Horror TV Weekly co-host, Chauncey K. Robinson. Yeah, we took our ideas from AfterBuzz, and, now that we're not limited by the network, which was just like, hey, you just talk about the TV news, we've just really expanded it into a lot more. So we're hoping to, like, add even little sketches, man on the street type stuff.
That's great.
And, new episodes every Thursday, as I say, on podcast form and YouTube. Yeah.
So you put out a lot of content between that and now you're working on a new podcast. I know it's Mrs. Brightside. I know it's been out there. So something new a lot. What else are you producing? I know you're churning out a lot of stuff. Yeah, so with Mrs. Brightside, that's my personal podcast. It's Mrs. Brightside, where the glass is always half full. It's sort of like a cognitive behavioral therapy session for people just trying to get the bright side of things, like whether it's growing up in the South or starting a career later in life, like bombing on stage. It's just trying to get people to think in, positive thoughts, because I know that's always a struggle for me as well. And that's why it's almost like my own therapy of keeping things positive. And especially now in Trump's America and stuff like that, life sucks. We've got to learn how to be happy. Yeah, you kind of do have to stop the complaining and try to get something out of it. Yeah, it's true. But there's nothing wrong with ranting, right? Oh, no, no. Yeah. I listen to Adam Carolla every day. It's like, and that's a release too. I don't think, because too, ranting is not negative. I know that there's a negative connotation, but that's why I like Dennis Leary and Adam Carolla. I was like, they're not negative people. They're expressing their concern. It's not, they're not like, oh my God, life sucks, blah, blah, blah. Exactly. Yeah. You're commentating. Yeah. You're just, here's what's being thrown at you on social media, television, cable news, and you're reacting. Like, that's it. That's how I feel. Exactly. And it's a release, and that's what people sort of need, whether your idea is like trying to think of the positive way or it's ranting about stuff, but we are pretty happy people, and I feel like people need, outlets like podcasts for us out here. And so Mrs. Brightside, the Red Room, those are things I've been producing myself, putting a lot of work in. Good for you. So I've been slacking on like stand up and stuff, but who knows? And my Dopra project is yet to get off the ground, but it's Dopra, the Oprah of weed. I'm trying to do a Oprah morning of weed. Yeah, yes. I've been trying to get a morning show like mock, very Wendy Williams like, because I love Wendy. But my production company had fallen through, and so I'm like, you know what? I'm working on these other projects, but we'll see. I mean, the more that marijuana becomes legal, the easier it'll be to get this show off the ground. Yeah, I think it's a waiting game for things like that. You'll get there, but it's just still a little bit of a process, especially outside of our LA bubble. You know what I mean? Yeah. That's the thing. But it sounds like you're very busy. That's great. I love a self-starter. I know what it's like to have to create and yes. And still keep it quality and be proud of your work. So I, give you credit. So love it. So let us know where we can find you. You mentioned the Red Room over on Facebook and the podcast. Yes, yeah. So you can find me anywhere at LACRETIALYON, anywhere on the internet, since there is only one. The Red Room is available like at Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube, all at Red Room Horror, and also on iTunes and all the places you can find your favorite podcast. Same thing with Mrs. Brightside. It's only in podcast form. You'll find it there. And you can catch me over on AfterBuzz TV for a one-night-only special where I'm going to be guesting on the Real Housewives of Beverly Hills after show, my old stomping grounds, and I'm really excited about it and gracious to be able to come back for one show. And just we're going to talk about the season in general and the episode that night. And it'll be nice just to be a guest and go back. And I'm thrilled that I have the opportunity to do so. So I hope you'll find me over there. That'll be over on March 20th, Tuesday night. And I love you for listening to the show. Tell a friend, rate us high, because why not? We need the positivity in our lives. And I love you for listening. We'll be back with more rants. Thanks again, Lacretia, for coming in.
Thank you.
We'll be back.
This has been Grant's Rants. Support the Rants on Patreon. Follow us on Twitter @It's Grant's Rants. Cover art created by Hallie Ronay. Voiceover by Aw Yeah. Original theme music composed by Alexander Arntzen. The Grant Michael Collection.